the incredible, the fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, come one and come all to a film you've never seen before. But remember, folks, no refunds.
Hello and welcome to No Refunds, the podcast where we watch bad movies so you don't have to, a Cold North production. I am your host, Ben Reynolds, and this week we're doing a special episode to commemorate a good film, actually.
The first ever.
That we watched. We watched this Avengers Endgame, and we really enjoyed it, so we wanted to bring you a special. Joining me this time, we have the tenacious Tim Miller.
I am Iron Man.
And Patrick the Law Morris.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tim had a better opening than I did.
Check out everything we have going on over at coldnorthpro.com. And if you like what you hear, leave us a rating and review wherever you found our podcast. And now, Avengers Endgame.
If we do this, we'd be going in short-handed.
Yeah, you mean because he killed all our friends?
We owe this to everyone who's not in this room to try.
It's not about how much we lost. It's about how much we have left. We're the Avengers. We gotta finish this. You trust me? I do. You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me.
All right. So this week we're going to go ahead and skip the Google plot synopsis since we're doing a special here. We don't I feel like if
we
you're
all know
watching
what the movie's
this,
about.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, hopefully you've seen Avengers Endgame, because we're definitely going to have spoilers.
Yeah, major spoiler warning.
If you have not seen Avengers Endgame, turn this off right now, because there will definitely be plot spoilers. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. So, yeah, that's the big warning. But we will start with our questions that we go through on each film, but we're going to change them up a little. So usually we start out with how bad was it? This time we're going to start out with how good was it?
It was really freaking good.
It was excellent. I mean, it was I would say, so Ben, I asked you while you were streaming, I was like, was it a satisfying ending? And you said it was a very satisfying ending. I think that you understated it. I think that I could not have done this better myself if I was fantasy booking it just for me, just to satisfy me. It was such an incredibly satisfying ending to a very, very long series of movies, and kind of like the culmination of something that we've never seen before. And it was, I think that this movie was excellent.
Yeah, I mean, I would echo those sentiments as well. Like I found it very satisfying. The thing I think that I thought was the coolest was that it really fucking shattered, like everything that I thought it essentially, the things that I thought were going to happen did not happen. Like it went on a way different route than anything that I had thought of, which was awesome, because that it's like I had read multiple interviews with cast members who had said like nobody has seen where this is going. Like it's just such an awesome, and I thought that they did a really good job of that. And I was kind of disappointed when I saw that people were putting out plot synopsises that say that like it takes place 5 years later, and I was like, I feel like that's a pretty big.
Oh, that's a huge spoiler.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it was on fucking like Fandango or something. I read that it's after I'd already seen it, I read something that said, like, it was a plot synopsis thing that was like 5 years after the snap. I was just like, whoa, that's a really big fucking reveal to give. That that the movie, because the movie doesn't even start 5 years after the snap.
And like in the early parts of the movie, when they go and find Thanos, I was expecting this huge fight, and instead they just showed up, and he was like on death's door, and then Thor just cut his head off, and I was like, wait, what? And I was genuinely thinking, I was like, what are they going to do for this movie? And then it says 5, and then there is a long pause, and then it says years later. And I was like, whoa, throw everything I was expecting out the window. This is completely, I'm in uncharted territory. I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, that was the same thing for me. Like, especially when Thanos died, I was just like, I was not expecting that. When it was funny because my roommate and I had talked about it, and my roommate's like, I kind of think that they're gonna kill Thanos off really early, and then the movie's gonna be about like the next bad guy. And I was like, I don't think that they're gonna do that, because that would just make the whole of Infinity War seem like it was pointless. And there's no payoff for Infinity War, and all of these movies have been about payoff.
Yeah.
And so I was like, when they killed him off in 5 minutes, I was like, fuck, maybe Chris was right. And then it was funny though, because I was like, nah, I think they're going to have a big showdown with Thanos. And then it was funny because we were both right. Essentially, they did kill Thanos off in 5 minutes, and then they still had a big showdown with Thanos.
Yeah. Well, the closest that I got to a spoiler, because I watched the first trailer for this movie one time the day it came out, and then I was sold. I was like, okay, I am going to go see this movie in theaters. I'm not watching anything. I'm on lockdown. So no TV spots, no commercials, no more trailers, nothing. And so the closest thing that I got to a spoiler for this movie was actually before the first trailer even came out. There were reports of, like, people were sneaking pictures of them shooting the scenes in New York, and Captain America was back in the very first Avengers movie costume, and they were like, maybe it has something to do with time travel. And so time travel was kind of on my mind, but the way that they just killed Thanos right away, and then it's like, I was thinking, okay, it's gonna be time travel. But then the way they did it was just so awesome, and they completely threw me off. I had no idea where they were going with it. It was awesome.
My first thought was maybe they were going to bring in the Celestials into this one, and I was like, oh fuck, maybe the Celestials are going to get involved somehow and bring everybody back or something. Like, I just didn't know what the fuck was going to happen. As soon as they killed Thanos off that fast, I was
Yeah. Tim, did you see that coming?
What, killing Thanos off that fast? No. I knew there was going to be time travel in it, just because I've read the Infinity War comic books, and it always has something to do with that.
See, I had read Infinity Gauntlet, it's all about fucking Captain Marvel, but it's a male Captain Marvel, and they do use the fucking Celestials, and they try to take on Thanos, but they can't even. And so, yeah, I don't know. I was like, well, this is not going in the way that Infinity Gauntlet goes. So,
I have no idea.
And I hadn't heard anything about the fact that it was potentially going to have time travel. So I found that interesting.
Okay.
So what did you guys think about the time travel? Like,
real quick, I got to ask you guys a question, because I didn't watch trailers. They didn't say anything about that in the trailers.
Mm-mm.
No, they didn't.
Okay.
They show the scene that. So they show the scene with Quill's ship flying into the atmosphere of Thanos' planet. After, like, when he's on the Garden Planet, they showed like that shot where the ship flies into that atmosphere, and I was like, okay, so we're going to space. It was my assumption.
Yeah.
That we were that it was going to be like a space battle somewhere, essentially, or something like that, which, I mean, I guess it kind of was.
It's fair, but that's fairly straightforward compared to what they did.
Yeah, absolutely.
So sorry, please get back to your question. I just had to ask that because I was wondering.
So what did you guys think about the time travel?
I liked it. I mean, the time heist, it was well done. It put everything in perspective. Like, it really showed what happened. And I especially like how Loki actually got away with the Tesseract, because they never really explained that earlier on in the films.
Well, so that's I had a lot of questions about that. Like, what happens in that timeline where Loki took that the Tesseract?
I think that's that timeline's problem.
No, it's earlier on. He gets the Tesseract. I can't remember. I think in the beginning of Infinity War he has it. I think he gets it from that point in time. They just never really explained how he got to it. So
yeah,
really? But wait, in Infinity War he's using the Mind Stone in the scepter. He's not using
that's the original Avengers. When in the beginning of Infinity War, when Thanos is attacking the ship, and he kills Loki, Loki has the Tesseract on him.
Oh,
that's right, and that's when Thanos, like, it's still a cube, and Thanos crushes it.
Yep.
Yeah,
they never explained really how Loki got it, and I liked how they tied that back.
So why didn't Loki come back?
Because he didn't die in the snap. So,
yep.
If you'll notice, anyone who didn't die in the snap didn't come back. So
Except
Loki didn't come back.
Gamora.
No, Gamora didn't come back.
No, she did.
No, a different, past Gamora came into the future and stayed, but Gamora did not come back.
Well, I know, but that's still, according to their theory of time travel, then yes, Gamora came back.
Okay, yes, Gamora is back in the series, but no,
according to their time travel, that's where their time travel becomes incredibly complicated, and you can't ask questions because.
But to answer your question, why didn't Loki come back? Is because the second snap only reversed the deaths that occurred directly as a result of the first snap. And so, and Gamora was not like they said with Black Widow, a soul for a soul. Gamora's soul was traded for the Soul Stone, and so there's just no bringing that Gamora back.
I mean I get what you're saying, but that contradicts their ideas about time travel.
Well, if they were to go back in time and bring another, like, a past version of Black Widow into the future, then I think that they could get Black Widow. But, like, if you'll notice,
but see, you're asking, and that's the thing is I don't think that they want you to ask these questions.
Probably not, because a soul for a soul, they really try and make that very permanent. But they, at the same time, you know, they've got you looking over here, and with the other hand, they're bringing Gamora back. But I think that they could bring a past version of Black Widow back, but, like, she wouldn't have the memories and the experiences, just like Gamora isn't in love with Quill anymore.
So, what do you think the plot of the Black Widow movie is going to be?
Oh,
you think it's going to be?
Fuck, I forgot there's a Black Widow movie coming out.
Is it going to be like another timeline, or is it going to be like a prequel? Or
it could take place in the time. Go ahead, Tim.
I'm probably going to be a prequel. That would be my best guess.
I was going to say the same thing. I think that it will probably take place before Iron Man 2. And it could even lead into the events of Iron Man 2. But I don't think that Black Widow is coming back in any way.
And do you think it'll be an origin, or do you think it will be, or do you think we already have? Because I kind of feel like we already have enough origin on Black Widow, so I don't want it to be an origin. I also feel like the Avengers movies have struggled the most when they've tried to be origin stories.
Yeah, I don't want it to be an origin story. because
Yeah.
they've done a really good job of, like you said, they're not origin stories. They've done a really good job of just blowing past origins and being like, you guys all know how this happened, and
the only one that they did that with was I guess that's like I mean they do kind of, I just think that Black Panther was a really strong origin story, that the Ta-Nehisi Coates story that they chose to use is a really strong origin story for T'Challa, I mean, excuse me. And so I think that was a really good origin story. Iron Man was a very, very great origin story.
that's true.
But I think that that's also came from the era that film was made, because it came out in 2008 when President Bush was still president, and people were like worried about arms dealing in the Middle East a lot more, and like it's a very clearly a Bush era film.
And it's also like, if you look at Iron Man versus like any of the more recent movies, it's definitely very different, and it was before they had really established their cadence and how they make these movies.
Mm-hmm.
And so Iron Man was a very different movie.
That's and like the first Thor and Thor: The Dark World were not good. I mean, they were okay, but they were not great. And Captain America: The First Avenger doesn't really know what it wants to be.
Those first movies are pretty rough around the edges.
Yeah, absolutely, with the exception of Iron Man.
Yeah, Iron Man, so good.
And the original Avengers movie was also incredible.
The original Avengers movie, I would say, is when they really found their flow and their formula. And then moving forward from that, like, because Iron Man 2 was before Avengers 1, and Iron Man 2 kind of sucked. But like the first Avengers movie is when they really figured it out, and then moving forward, they were all very much in line with each other and in sync.
All right, so this kind of has led me to the question of what are you guys' top 5? Like, let's run down our top 5 of the 22 films. Let's start it with our 5th best and work towards our favorite.
Oh God, you guys are gonna have to go before me.
All right,
I need to make my list. Jesus Christ!
Give me 1 second.
You guys think about that. I'll start.
Okay.
So I would say 5th for me is probably Civil War.
Civil War is good.
And then,
do we all want to do 5? And do we want to do them like 5th, 4th, 4th?
I mean, if you guys want some time, I think I could get through my top 5.
I think mine's ready.
Okay. So then, what would you say is your 5th favorite?
Probably Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
All right, Tim.
I'd probably go with Guardians 2.
Guardians 2. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then, for my 4th, I'm gonna go Guardians 1.
So my 4th, I'm gonna go Guardians 2.
Weird. You guys both. Do you have Guardians 2 over Guardians 1?
I love Guardians 2.
Yeah, I do prefer the second one over the first.
That's fucking crazy to me. I don't fucking like the second one very much compared to the first.
I will give the first one credit. It is a much better soundtrack, but other than that,
I think it's just a better movie.
I would have to watch them both again, because it's been a while since I saw Guardians 1, but watching Guardians 2, it was like, especially his relationship with the Michael Rooker character. I forget what his name was.
But he's in
he's in Guardians 1, but they really developed the relationship in Guardians 2.
Guardians 1 is, in my mind, so much better. Like, Guardians 2 is not going to be in my top 5.
All right, Tim, what's your 4th?
My 4th would be Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Oh, okay.
Does not make my top 5 either.
Me either.
The main reason it makes my top 5 is I love Spider-Man. Like, I can't not include it in my top 5. It's one of my favorite movies of the MCU, and I've watched it like maybe 25 times already.
Still not as good as Spider-Man 2.
So for me, number 3 would, I just had it and now I lost it. Pat, you go.
So number 3 is Avengers. Avengers was so good. And it was like, it was this team up movie that they had really earned. And then they just nailed it. Like, they just absolutely stuck the landing. They built the foundation, and then they just nailed it with this movie. And it was, I mean, at the time, it was like, it was a phenomenon. And we could not believe how well it turned out. And now when we look at it compared to like Infinity War and Endgame, it's like, oh, wow, there were only 6 Avengers. But it's like, it was, for the time, it was just so good.
Fair enough. I'm going to go Iron Man for number 3.
Oof. All right.
I mean, it was the first movie. It started everything. I love that movie. It's really, really good. I rewatched it recently because it's available to watch on Amazon, and it's so good. I'm just start to finish. It's so much fun, and it established the tone of all of these movies and got it all started. And I feel like, yeah, I don't know. It's just great.
All right. Tim?
So number 3 for me is going to be Civil War.
Wait, didn't Tim already do number 3?
No.
I thought.
No, you were
Guardian.
Okay, so Tim was Guardians 1, Guardians 2, then now Civil War.
No. Tim was Guardians 2, Spider-Man,
Homecoming,
Civil.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry. That's my bad. I'm getting you guys confused. All right. Civil War is really freaking good.
Civil War was
my number 5.
Awesome, and like the introduction of Spider-Man in Civil War. And then bringing Ant-Man into the fray of like, you are going to be more involved with this bigger, like the goings on of the Avengers.
See, but I thought that they barely used him. He felt like he was just like, I mean, obviously I really liked Civil War, but I felt like they used him so much better in Endgame.
Oh, they did.
They
definitely.
And I feel like that he actually shined more in Endgame than he had shined in either of the Ant-Man movies. Like,
yeah,
which I mean, I love Paul Rudd, and I actually do enjoy the Ant-Man movies, but they're not close to like anywhere close to being in my top 5.
He played a much bigger role in Endgame.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, Tim,
because he's sort of supposed to be like the audience is like kind of stand in for like, it's just like a normal guy who's around all of these Avengers, and like when fucking when War Machine lands and he's just trying to eat the taco and shit.
Yeah, that's funny. So Tim, since we're talking about yours right now being Civil War, your third favorite, my biggest problem with Civil War was the noticeable absence of Thor and Hulk. Because
why did they need to be there?
It's like, I love Thor and Hulk, and I like.
But that's like a big part of the plot.
I know it's a big part of the plot.
Fact that
it's
they're
just
gone
like
is a big part of the plot.
I know.
The guy's like, if I lost 2 nuclear missiles, do you think that there wouldn't be any questions? Like,
I understand that it's a big part of the plot.
Missiles.
I just wished that Thor was, because I want Thor to be in all of these movies. I really like Thor.
But we wouldn't have gotten the established, like Thor wouldn't be as funny and awesome as he is, because we wouldn't have gotten Ragnarok if Thor had been in Civil War.
Okay.
Because the story of Ragnarok took place
into my second
during Civil War.
Yeah, that's actually a good lead into my number 2, Thor Ragnarok. One of the best movies that they have come out with.
Fuck, I don't know where to put that, because
I'm gonna switch out.
Wasn't gonna be in my top 5, but I really do fucking love Ragnarok. It's so much fun.
Good. I'm swapping Guardians 1 for Ragnarok. So Ragnarok's coming in at number 5 for me. Ragnarok was great.
It really is. I don't know where I would put it in. I don't know if I could switch. It might just be number 6. I guess it's shortly out of the top 5, barely out of the top 5. So my number 2 is going to be Black Panther.
Ooh,
I
Black Panther was
fucking
good.
loved that movie. I have not come out of a movie like I fucking cried multiple times in Black Panther because it was just I fucking loved that movie. It was so good, and I was so invested in the characters, and they had. I feel like that's also where they really like started to like show that they actually could make cool villains that were actually interesting. Although they did
Killmonger
do
was
this,
awesome.
they did a they did the Vulture feels similar in Homecoming because he's just like a guy who
Yeah,
starts the fucking over, and he's just like a blue collar, like working class guy.
he's just a guy, and Killmonger is very much the same way. And like Killmonger was a great villain, and like it's a damn shame that Michael B. Jordan won't be able to come back because he's a great actor.
You can bury him next to the slaves they threw off the boat.
Well, we can also
That's what he says. That's what he literally tells T'Challa that when T'Challa takes him up so he can see the sunrise or whatever.
well, we will bury Killmonger.
He's like, bury me with my ancestors who who jumped off the boat or whatever.
We will bury Killmonger next to Vision and Gamora Prime
And Loki.
That's right, Loki's gone.
And
so
Iron Man.
My number 2 is Iron Man 1. I like Ben, you said it established the tone. I think that it was actually a much harder, more adult tone than the rest of the movies. And like everything about Iron Man 1 was just so good. The origin story, the character development for the arc that Tony goes through, even the villain was pretty awesome. The Jeff Bridges villain, and just the moment, like there are a handful of moments in the MCU that are really, really great and have really stood the test of time. And Tony going up at the end of that movie and like at the press conference saying, well, the truth is I am Iron Man. It's like, that's one of those
too.
What?
That was ad-libbed too.
Oh, really? That was one of those moments that was like, it's one of the best moments of the entire MCU.
And it established the callback for Endgame.
It did.
I am inevitable. I
am Iron Man.
Yep.
So we all agree on number 1, though.
My number 1 is...
Do we?
The Russo brothers' Civil War, their first film.
You already put Civil War.
I mean, not Civil War, excuse me. Winter Soldier, the Russo brothers' actual first film.
That's your favorite?
Really?
Yeah.
Seriously? Endgame doesn't make your top 5?
I mean, I enjoyed both Infinity War and Endgame a lot, but Civil War is fucking really, 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 really fucking good.
You mean Winter Soldier?
Sorry. I keep saying Civil War, but I'm meaning Winter Soldier. Yeah, Winter Soldier is so good. Like, and the fact that they brought in fucking, like, the fighting in that movie is easily the best too, because they brought in like MMA fighters to do the choreography for the fighting, and so it actually feels like fighting instead of just...
That's actually true.
And I mean, if you haven't watched Winter Soldier recently, you should, because it is so flippin' good.
All right.
Like that scene, the scene where we get the callback to in frickin' the movie when he's in the... No, actually, I guess that's from... But the whole, like, where the elevator fight scene.
No, that was Winter Soldier.
Yeah, exactly. The elevator fight scene, but that we get the callback to in Endgame. But he just leans in and says, "Hail Hydra."
Hail Hydra.
Yeah, that was so cool. And
I laughed my ass.
That was a really nice homage to the comics when they made Captain America a Hydra agent.
Well, is that really a call to that? Because he wasn't actually a Hydra agent.
No, but like there was the huge moment in the comics a few years ago when Captain America said, "Hail Hydra," and they closed the comic on that. And it's like, it was this huge turn for the character. I think it was an homage in multiple ways.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But to be okay, real quick, I want to point out Friday, 10:02 p.m. I texted Ben and I said the best Marvel movie. 10:52 p.m. Ben texted and said agreed.
I mean,
you can have a fluid opinion. Like Endgame is so fresh in your mind. I'm just giving you shit.
I don't know. It's a one-word text answer too, so
that's true.
I don't know. I definitely really enjoyed it, but like even afterwards, I wasn't I do think I liked it a little more than Infinity War, but yeah, I mean, Winter Soldier is so good, especially because it's like they wanted to make like a 50s spy movie, and they did, but it's still a fucking comic book movie, and it's just so good.
And that was in Civil War. I was going to say the Crossbones fight was awesome, but that was the beginning of Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
Tim, what's your number one?
At this point, it's Endgame, and I think a lot of that's, again, he just mentioned it, kind of drunk on the fact that we just watched it. But none of these movies has made me laugh and cry as hard as I did in that theater. So
I definitely shed some tears in Endgame as well. But I mean, yeah, I just really love fucking Winter Soldier.
My favorite is also Endgame. I think Endgame was just there were so many things in Endgame that they were building to for a very long time that they finally gave us, and it was so much fan service, but it's like it's fan service.
I think why it's not my favorite is because, I mean, while I did really enjoy all of that payoff, the movies that I listed as my favorites were not like so much, like they didn't have so much of that. They were like kind of just driven by themselves, you know?
Well, it's fan service that I feel like they've earned.
Well, yeah, no, and absolutely. But it's like one of those things where, like, if you were like, oh, I heard about this movie Endgame that is so popular, and you walked into it and you hadn't seen any of those other movies, you would not have any idea what is going on in that movie.
Oh, I can confirm. My mom went with me to watch this, and she was asking me questions throughout.
Well, yeah, actually, you're right.
Whereas you could walk into fucking Winter Soldier and you'd be like, oh, okay, so this is this Captain America guy. Oh, and he's got this interesting relationship with this
Bucky.
Black Widow lady. And he's finding out that Bucky's still alive.
Well, and so I can also confirm, because Jillian went to see Endgame with me, and we got out of the theater, and I was like, man, that moment when Mjolnir flew to Captain America, wow. And she just looked at me and she was like, yeah, I didn't understand the significance. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you didn't, because you don't you aren't caught up, and you don't understand the significance of Mjolnir, because you didn't watch the other ones. You don't understand that Mjolnir can only be lifted by he who is worthy. And so I mean, I think that there's some value to that, but at the same time, like, I guess it's a matter of perspective. If you haven't seen the movies, then it's like, yeah, there's no way Endgame is your favorite. But since we have, Endgame is definitely my favorite.
Fair enough. So where do you think we're going next? I mean, obviously we know that we have Far From Homecoming, which is going to have Mysterio as the primary, Jake Gyllenhaal playing Mysterio as the main villain. But I think what I really want to know is what's going to be in the stinger at the end of Far From Home.
I think it'll probably be more of a lead into Guardians 3, because
Yeah.
I know I don't know if that's actually confirmed, but
so the actual end of Phase 3 is Far From Home.
Yeah.
We have not finished Phase 3 yet. And so that's why I think that the stinger at the end of Far From Home is going to establish our big bad for Phase 4 and forward potentially. but I don't know.
So they also, because the big bad for phases 1 through 3 wasn't established until the very end of phase 1. And so for them to establish a big bad for phases presumably 4, 5, and 6, when being established at the very end of phase 3, I don't think that would be consistent. I think that they'll let us sweat it for a little bit, and I think that we won't find out who that big bad will be until whatever the next Avengers movie is. I'm kind of with Tim. I think it's going to be a stinger for something that's very safe and easy. Guardians 3, Doctor Strange 2, Captain Marvel 2, Black Panther 2. Something that is a safe bet, and I think that that's what phase 4 is going to be, is those just movies that are already established. And then I think that where we're going to get that information that you're talking about, Ben, the big bad for phases 4, 5, and 6, and that other really new information is going to be Avengers 5, when we see, I think the post credit scene will be something like we saw with Thanos and in Avengers. And I think that there'll be a mid credit scene that alludes to the X-Men.
See, I don't know if they'll go that far. The main reason I mentioned Guardians is because it's one of the ones that's supposedly rumored to be coming up next. There's also Adam Warlock that you have to consider at the end of Guardians 2 that we still know nothing about, who's actually pretty integral with the Celestials and Galactus and all of that stuff. So I feel like if they're gonna start moving towards a new enemy, I think that would be a logical place to start.
So currently, all we have for the only movie that has a fucking locked down date is the Far From Home, and the fact that they fired James Gunn and brought James Gunn back means that Guardians 3 is
it's further
a
out.
long ways away.
It's pretty much
and
I'd say next year-ish.
So there's no way they can get it into production that it can come out next year. I don't think because of I think that would be a challenge.
I think next year or early the year after is realistic with as often as they've released these movies. But then again, also we're coming off the end of the end, and maybe it'll be maybe they'll want to move slower
Celestials.
now.
I feel really bad. I kept saying Celestials, but it's actually the Eternals. Celestials is DC. My bad.
Oh, jeez, not a true fan. Hashtag not a true fan.
That is my yeah. So, but there's a lot of people who are signed on for that already, because we have Angelina Jolie and Kumail Nanjiani are both signed on for the Eternals, and Chloe Zhao is signed on to direct.
Do you mean the Celestials?
No, the Eternals.
Okay.
And then we've also got Shang-Chi, which is going to be coming. And so that's going to be the first Marvel movie with an Asian lead. Dave Callum will write, and Daniel Cretton will direct, and it will have. Oh no, never mind. I don't think they have anybody signed up to star. But then they've already got a director. They've got ScarJo signed on for the Black Widow movie, and Florence Pugh will also be appearing, and Kate Shortland will be directing.
You're saying all these names, and I know none of them.
Yes.
Some of them are people that I recognize, but okay. So, the other reason so we're not going to see Guardians 3 till 2021 because James Gunn is busy with Suicide Squad 2.
Oh, that's right. So,
yeah.
Okay. So question for you guys about the future of Marvel. So I think that the big focus of phases 4, 5, and 6, because we had heroes that the audience knew, and we really got to know them over the last 10 years. But then 4, 5, and 6, if it weren't for the Fox acquisition, they would kind of be needing to go pretty deep into their bench. But because of the Fox acquisition, I think that they're going to be able to ride the high of X-Men and Fantastic Four for the next 10 years.
they'll reboot
Wait.
both of those.
Wait,
Yeah,
Fantastic Four was a high note?
No. I think that they'll reboot both X-Men and Fantastic Four.
Okay.
And have them like bring them into the MCU and have them be like the roster, the new roster that people really fall in love with. But also I was thinking the other day that it would be fun and really funny because X-Men definitely needs a reboot. And because those movies aren't very successful anymore, the only X-Men movies that are really successful are Deadpool. And Fantastic Four is just terrible. That needs a reboot bad. I think it would be really funny if the only character that lived through this Fox acquisition and made it into the MCU was Deadpool, because he can
It's
break the
gotta
fourth
be.
wall. Like, that would just be, if Deadpool just made a cameo in Avengers 5 or 6 or 7, that would be hilarious.
I am probably the least positive about Deadpool of the three of us. I can take it or leave it.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
love
awesome.
it once. I really love it one time. And after that, it's like, okay, this is okay, I guess. And then after 2 times, it's like, no, this is pretty bad.
Like I find it funny, but the breaking the fourth wall gets boring, like old, and I don't know. It's and then like I do actually, like, I will say that, like, for a comic book movie, it's almost like too violent, sort of. Which I don't know. I guess maybe that's a weird thing to say, but like comic book movies are supposed to be like not necessarily like that, like gory. You know, they're supposed to be.
I think that there's a wide variety, because you can make the argument that Sin City is also a comic book movie, and those movies are rightfully very gory.
But they're based on graphic novels, actually, not comic books. So.
But I mean,
And
you can see the same principle applied.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not as crazy about Deadpool.
And that's fine. I mean, it's like, honestly, I don't love
And
them.
I don't feel like I don't feel like a cameo would fit even.
I think it would be pretty funny. But I would be psyched on it if it happened. But like, I think you're right that the comedy is good, but it's like breaking the fourth wall. You can only do it so many times before it's not funny anymore. Whereas like I don't remember the guy's name, the stone guy that Thor met in Ragnarok, who's like hanging out with his in his house in New Asgard.
Who's played by Taika Waititi.
Oh, really? Where he's like, Thor, the guy called me a dickhead again. And then he's just like, Dungeon Nuke 69, and just grabs the fucking headset. Like, Deadpool is funny, but that shit is always going to be funny. Just like, hey, it's Thor, God of Thunder. I am going to fly to your mother's basement. And just,
The Paunch Lord.
yeah, like that shit was hilarious. And so I think that he would, I think that Deadpool would be, it would be very fitting for him to be in there, to be like, yeah, he breaks the fourth wall. He breaks the barriers of like reboots and whatnot, but also his movies won't age nearly as well as the humor in like Thor Ragnarok or Guardians.
Yeah, it's true. Definitely true. Yeah. Well, so what do you guys think? Logically, who do you think our big bad is going to be? I mean, Tim, you already said, and that does. I mean, that is the only potential big bad that we've really been introduced to. But he also is a good guy in a lot of Marvel stuff too. So.
Yeah, it's gonna be really hard to say. I mean, they could.
And
go
have they?
anywhere with
Do they
this.
have
They're really
anybody
good.
signed on to play him?
I don't think so.
What the character's name is? One more time, Tim. What's the character's name again that they
What,
created?
Galactus?
No, it's not
Oh,
Galactus.
Adam Warlock.
Adam Warlock.
Adam Warlock. Yep. Yeah, he was a huge integral part of the original Infinity War, which I'm surprised they actually didn't even include him in this.
He was also a
but-
big character in Infinity Gauntlet as well.
Yep. So yeah, I honestly see him as a logical next step. It's just how long it takes them to get to that next step.
Yeah, so I really don't, because I didn't read a ton of comics, like comic book hero, like superhero comics when I was a kid. I read mostly like the funnies, but so I'm not real familiar with the villains, but at the same time, I don't think anyone saw Thanos becoming a big bad, and it was to the point that like even the hardcore people that were really into comics, when Thanos had that post-credit scene at the end of Avengers, people didn't recognize him. He wasn't immediately recognizable. People were like, I think it's like, if you looked it up, the discussion online, like around Reddit at least, was like, I think it's Thanos, I'm pretty sure, but that maybe not. And so I don't know who it's going to be. I wouldn't mind seeing Hela come back in some way.
But she's dead.
But I would love, I mean, she's dead, but they also just brought back a ton of different people, so.
We also don't know if she actually survived Ragnarok.
That's true.
She could still somehow be alive, but I mean, who knows at this point.
And I think she would play a pretty good villain. I really like Kate Blanchett, but also I would probably rather them do someone that's totally new.
Agreed.
Well, if they bring in Adam Warlock, then we can also get Pip the Troll, which would be pretty awesome.
That would be interesting.
I mean,
I think we're obviously also probably going to get Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
That's going to be, I think, a big person that we can now get because of the fact that
Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've got what, Doctor Doom? Is it? I'm not a huge Fantastic Four guy, so.
Well, I mean, but because Silver Surfer is a lot of the time he's a good guy, and it was just that Fantastic Four, like the Fantastic Four Silver Surfer movie was terrible.
It was.
He
better
also
than
has
the
a very
Fantastic
terrible
Four movie.
video game. He has a very terrible well, not SNES, it's NES. Silver Surfer.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
play it. Do not play it.
Yeah, that's woof.
Okay, so if they bring Silver Surfer in, will Lawrence Fishburne play him again?
No.
God. They're not going to be anybody.
Wait, it was. I thought it was. Was it Lawrence Fishburne?
Yeah, it was.
Are you positive?
Pretty sure.
Ben's looking it up.
I am, because I'm curious.
All right, now I got to ask you guys, because I don't know if we've really talked about it that much, but what was your favorite part of the movie?
And
David Steen.
Hands down, and I consider this to be the best moment in the entire MCU. Mjolnir flying to Captain America, and then him using Mjolnir and his shield and just going ham on Thanos and like really kicking Thanos' ass for a minute or two was amazing. And
so I had some questions about that, because it's not like he was able to just use the hammer. He was able to command the lightning too.
Yeah, so that was interesting.
Yeah, I didn't understand that part.
Captain America is just Thor?
Does it come, does the capability to command lightning come from Mjolnir? And in that case,
But
like if that's the case, is Thor actually the god of thunder, or is Mjolnir the hammer of thunder?
But no, that the thing about it is that directly contradicts what Odin says in Ragnarok.
Which is
Odin
did he say about it in
he tells Thor that he didn't need the hammer for the thunder.
Oh,
that it
he
never
didn't
came.
need it, but it allowed him to use it.
But he's the god of thunder, not the that's I.
Yeah,
I thought that was weird that he could just control the lightning too.
But it made the moment really cool.
Yeah. But I was just like, okay, so he's just Thor now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Thor was kind of not Thor, so
Fat Thor. Just who killed Thanos, and what's his name? Well, Stormbreaker. And just, yeah, but who was swinging Stormbreaker? That was pretty funny.
Yeah, Fat Thor was one of the best parts of the movie.
Well, and Korg/Taika Waititi.
I was shocked that they brought Natalie Portman back. Like, not that they would want to bring the character back, but that like they got her to come back and be in the movie.
Oh, and it was a flex to not have her say a line.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, it was a 3-second scene. They probably only had to pay her very little for that.
Yeah, but still.
I still think it's a flex to have that big of an actress and have her not say anything.
Oh, yeah. So, Tim, what was your favorite moment in the movie?
It's really hard to say, but I'm going to have to go with Iron Man's final snap right at the end there.
Yeah, I am Iron Man.
That call back to I am Iron Man, it was just like, yep, that's it. It's all over.
For me, it was the Avengers Assemble. And like getting when Doctor Strange opens all those portals and you get to see into the other worlds too, where everybody's coming from.
Yeah, and
that was
plus
awesome.
that scene was I got like goosebumps during that scene, and then having freaking Black Panther and Shuri and everybody just walk out. Oh god,
and
it was
hearing, but the way that they hinted at it and like Captain America hears it on the earpiece, just all crackly and broken up, just like. Cap on your left, and it's Falcon, and it's just then it just the ever so slightly the littlest portal starts to open up, and then the portals just get bigger and bigger, and then everyone is there, and then like one of my favorite moments, Ben, that was one of my favorite moments, but then like very specifically in that moment when Rescue lands, and it's like they've been hinting at Rescue for 5 or 6 years now, because it's not like Pepper has put on the Iron Man armor and finally she has her own set and she is Rescue. It was just amazing.
Yeah, I feel weird about Gwyneth Paltrow, so I don't know. It's the whole goop thing, but whatever. Holding my personal feelings about her aside, that was pretty awesome. And well, I thought it was pretty awesome to have Iron Man, War Machine, Iron Spider, and her all fighting on the same screen.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Like there were so many Iron Man suits in like on fighters in this fight, like. Exactly what you said: Iron Man, War Machine, Iron Spider, and Rescue, all in the same fight.
We'd gotten the Hulkbuster earlier in the movie too.
Yeah. How did you guys feel about Hulk?
That was one of the things that I probably disliked the most. Actually, is I thought and I think that his best scene was when he was talking to the Sorceress Supreme. And she knocked him out of his body, and it was back to being Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah,
I thought it was just it was
weird.
Yeah, well, and I know that it's canonical that Hulk has done that in the past, but why didn't they show us him doing that? And also we left it where we were left in Infinity War. Hulk wouldn't come out.
Yeah,
and then they're just
suddenly he's just always
I'm Hulk always now. Actually,
they didn't resolve it.
5 years later. He had plenty of time to work out his issues.
But they didn't resolve it for the audience.
Yeah, the audience didn't get that resolution. The audience just got oh yeah, I blasted myself with some gamma radiation, and now I'm always Hulk.
And that was very much a hand wave of something that they were setting up in Infinity War, and then they just didn't play it out. I mean, I'm sure that there's some sort of. Well, I hope that there's some sort of director's cut. I hope that we get a 4-hour version of this movie later on, and we get some sort of explanation of that. But yeah, I think that was weird.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was. I thought it was great.
It's a damn good movie.
And
I can't wait to see it again.
Yeah, and we got to talk about box office though. we got to talk about box office because, whoa.
Holy shit, yeah.
Yeah. $1.209 billion.
Midway
that
through
was midway through Sunday.
Midway through Sunday. And like the biggest opening weekend of all time prior to this was Infinity War at 640 million.
Yeah, absolutely blew past it. And Ben, you said it was what, up to 2 million now? 2
2
billion?
billion. Yeah.
So I just checked and I wasn't able to find a source on that. What I was showing was like it's close to 1.4 billion now. But
I mean, I don't think that people they don't report as regularly, like they don't report numbers as much in the beginning of weeks. But I had read somewhere that it was over 200,000 or 2 billion, excuse me.
if it's over 2 billion, then Avatar can, I mean, honestly, at this point, Avatar can kiss that goodbye anyways.
Yeah.
But
It's inevitable that this is going to overtake it. It's just a matter of time.
It is inevitable.
But
did
it
you
is
guys
Iron Man.
did you guys see that that meme that I put in the chat today?
I don't think so.
It was just Titanic, and behind that there's a person pointing a gun at the back of their head and they're labeled Avatar. There's a person behind them with a gun pointed at the back of their head and they're labeled Endgame. And then there's a sniper pointing at Endgame, and it's just Shrek 5.
Because Shrek 5 would do more?
Yeah! It's a meme.
I don't think it will. I don't think it will do nearly that good. You can meme
It's
it as
a
much as you want.
meme.
So are a lot of things.
Of course it's not going
But
to
I
do
wouldn't
that
go
well.
watch Pepe the movie.
Of course it's not going to do that well. It's a joke. But I'll definitely go see Shrek 5.
I didn't even know that they were making Shrek 5. Yeah, I don't think I have either.
You guys need to get caught up on Shrek.
It's pretty bad from what I've heard. I think we can skip it. Or maybe watch it for...
Yeah, because don't they, isn't that where they've like started having like the little Shreks and shit like that?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, Shrek
that
did have
sounds
babies.
terrible. Yeah, that sounds terrible. I don't need to see the little Shreks.
Psh, whatever.
Yeah, but now we're out in the weeds, so I think it's probably about time to wrap up this special episode of No Refunds.
Sounds good to me.
Don't forget to check out our incredible website, coldnorthpro.com, where you can see everything we do in one place. Listen to us weekly on our other podcast about gaming called Hard Reset. And like I said before, next time we'll be watching Brad Payton's 2018 film Rampage. See you next time, and don't forget, no refunds.